Power off. Power on.
Ay, sir. Sir Vincent. Okay, sige. So for the first big group, you may start.
Okay. Good afternoon, Doc.
Good afternoon.
Acute active infectious hepatitis B will be reported by groups 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for the patient's history, next slide, please. So this is the case. You were able to examine a 40-year-old carpenter as a requirement for renewal of his employment. His hepatitis profile results state it will be showed in the next slides. So next slide, please. For the salient features, the patient is a 40-year-old carpenter. So this is the hepatic profile result. So first, his HBsAg or hepatitis B surface antigen tested positive. So meaning the person is infected with Hep B because this test can detect the actual presence of the hepatitis B virus in the blood. Next is the anti-HBC total is also positive, which indicates a past or current hepatitis B infection. Next is anti-HBC IgM, which also is positive. So it indicates a recent infection with Hep B virus. Its presence indicate acute infection. Next is HBeAg or hepatitis B antigen, also tested positive because positive because it is an indicator of active viral replication. So this means that the person infected with hepatitis B can likely transmit the virus to another person. Next is anti-HBe and anti-HBs, both tested negative, and the HBV DNA is 200,000. So next slide, please.
So our diagnosis is acute active infectious hepatitis B. It is the most common serious liver infection. It is caused by hepatitis B virus that attacks and injures the liver. It is transmitted primarily by body fluids, especially the serum. The spread occurs through minor breaks in the skin or mucous membrane among children with close bodily contact. It is spread effectively by sex and can be transmitted from mother to the baby. Hepatitis B produces several protein antigens that can be detected in the serum, such are the um, core antigen, the surface antigen, and the E antigen related to the core antigen. Commercial assay are available for hepatitis B surface antigen and hepatitis E antigen. Next slide, please. So for the basis of our diagnosis is the patient hepatitis profile shows uh, first is the hepatitis B surface antigen, which is positive, and the hepatitis B core antibody total, which is positive, and the hepatitis B core antibody IgM, which is positive also, and the hepatitis B E antigen, which is positive also. As the table shown, the hepatitis B infection correlates with the patient's hepatitis profile results, so we diagnose this as acute active infectious hepatitis B. Next slide, please. The initial serologic marker for acute infection is the hepatitis B surface antigen, which typically becomes detectable 2 to 3 months after infection. After another 4 to 6 weeks, the IgM hepatitis core antibody appears. That's all. Next slide.
Okay, this is the typical time course for appearance of viral antigens and antiviral antibodies in hepatitis B viral infection. Next, please. Okay, so in the early acute phase, the HBV surface antigen, the red curve or the red line, appears and lasts for several months. Detection of this antigen signifies acute HBV infection. Between the time of the titer of the HBV is EG falls and the titer of anti-HBV immunoglobulin, the dark blue curve or line, which confirms immunity, it rises. There is a gap. There's a time gap. It is also called the core window, a period in infection when neither the HBsAg and anti-HBV and immunoglobulin can be detected in serum. Next, please. Okay. In this time period, the gap, the titers of anti-HBV core antigen, IgM, the purple line, and IgG, the black, okay, they rises, indicating an acute HBV infection. IgG, anti-HBV antigen, the cyan one, also rises during this core window period. So permanent immunity is conferred by anti-HBsAg, or the dark blue curve. So next, please. Also shown in this figure is the pattern of aspartate aminotransferase and alanine aminotransferase elevation. These occur in early acute phase, slightly after HBsAg rises. AST and ALT levels may remain elevated for several weeks to several months, after which time they decline. So next, please. So generally, an individual is considered non-infection when no HBsAg or HBeAg and anti-HBcAg IgM can be detected, and the anti-HBsAg IgG has plateaued.
So next we go to our differential diagnosis. The differential diagnosis are your viral hepatitis A and your autoimmune hepatitis. So basing on our salient features or basis for the diagnosis of your acute active infectious hepatitis B, we have your hepatitis B surface antigen, which is positive in acute active infectious hepatitis B and negative for both viral hepatitis A and autoimmune hepatitis. And your total hepatitis B core antigen indicates previous or ongoing infections with hepatitis B. It's positive again for your infectious hepatitis B and negative for viral hepatitis A and autoimmune hepatitis. So next is your anti-HBC IgM, positive for infectious hepatitis B and negative for both viral hepatitis and autoimmune hepatitis. And next is your anti-hepatitis B antigen, positive for infectious hepatitis B and negative for viral hepatitis A and autoimmune hepatitis. Next is your anti-hepatitis B surface antibody, anti-hepatitis BE, which is negative for the 3. This means that, that's supposed to be positive, that there is inactivity of your virus and low in infectivity if it's positive, and negative if there's active and if it is active and infectious. And next is your hepatitis B virus DNA, which it is found to have 200,000, while it is not found in your viral hepatitis A and autoimmune hepatitis.
So for pathophysiology, next please. So a quick overview for hepatitis B virus. It is a DNA virus. It has capsid, contains partial stranded circular DNA made up of a long and short strand. It has DNA polymerase, an enzyme with DNA and RNA dependent activity, which converts DNA to RNA and vice versa. So the main source for the virus can be found in the blood, milk, amniotic fluid, vaginal secretions, and semen. Routes of transmission includes sexual contact, contaminated blood following transfusion and injections with contaminated needle. So the latter being common in people who use intravenous drugs. So it can also be passed from infected mother to fetus during childbirth. Next, please. So this virus target the liver, which is made up of functional units called the hepatic lobules. The main cells are called hepatocytes. These hepatocytes pick up and detoxifies harmful substances like drugs and alcohol, helps maintain a normal blood glucose level, synthesizes a variety of important proteins like albumin and coagulation factors, stores vitamins and minerals, converts cholesterol to bile salts, which along with water and bilirubin make up the bile. Next, please. So, please, can you please play the video, Doc?
Kanang ma-play. Sa akong end, ako'y mag-play?
No, Doc, si Doc
Sige, you call yourselves Doc na di ay. Sorry. Tingala ko.
sorry, Doc.
Sige, sorry. Okay lang yan. Parang practice. Doc, di ba Doc?
So, again. Yes, Doc. So, hepatitis B virus enters the hepatocytes by fusing its membrane with the cell membrane and releasing the capsid into the cell. The cell's polymerase elongates the shorter strand of the viral DNA and now forms a complete double-stranded DNA with a long strand. Then travels to the nucleus. There, it's transcribed by cell's transcription elements into multiple mRNAs, which leave the nucleus and use the cell's ribosomes to create viral proteins like DNA polymerase and viral antigens such as HBs, HB core, and HBe antigen. The largest mRNA is used by the viral DNA polymerase to replicate the viral DNA. Viral antigens such as HBs and HB core are assembled into new viral particles. However, HBe isn't included in the viral particle but leaves the cell and can be found in the serum. So the viral DNA is replicated and packaged into the capsid at the same time, which is why its replication is interrupted and the virus gets partial double-stranded DNA. The capsid is then enveloped and released without damaging the cell, which is why the infection can persist for a long time without causing liver damage. Next, please. So basically, the damage comes from the body's immune system, where T cells find and eliminate infected hepatocytes, which causes liver damage. So your B cells react to the virus in the bloodstream and secrete antibody against hepatitis B antigens. Thank you.
So for the diagnostic modalities, first one is the alanine transaminase test is used by your body to metabolize protein. If the liver is damaged or not functioning properly, ALT can be released into the blood and this causes ALT levels to increase. And second one is aspartate aminotransferase test is an enzyme found in several parts of your body, including the heart, liver, and muscles. Since AST levels are not as specific for liver damage as ALT, it is usually measured together with ALT to check for liver problems. And for the alkaline phosphatase test is an enzyme found in your bones, bile ducts, and liver. An ALP test is typically ordered in combination with several other tests. High levels of ALP may indicate liver inflammation, blockage of the bile ducts, or a bone disease. And for the albumin test, is measures how well your liver is making this particular protein. A low result on this test can indicate that your liver is not functioning properly. And for the bilirubin test, A damaged liver can't properly process bilirubin, and this may lead to an abnormally high level of bilirubin into the blood. A high result on the bilirubin test may indicate that the liver is not functioning properly. The normal range for total bilirubin is typically zero point 0.1 to 1.2 milligrams per deciliter. These are certain inherited diseases that raise bilirubin levels, but the liver function is normal. And for the hepatitis B serologic testing, it involves measurement of several hepatitis B virus specific antigens and antibodies. Different serologic markers or combinations of markers are used to identify different phases of HBV infection. And for the hepatitis B surface antigen testing, this is a protein on the surface of the hepatitis B virus. It can be detected in the serum during acute or chronic HBV infection, and the presence of hepatitis B surface antigen testing, hepatitis B surface antigen indicates that the person has hepatitis B infection. So HBsAg is the antigen used to make hepatitis B vaccine. And for the total hepatitis B core antibody, it appears at the onset of symptoms in acute hepatitis B infection and persists for life. The presence of anti-HBC indicates previous or ongoing infection with HBV. And for the IgM antibody to hepatitis B core antigen, its presence usually indicates acute for less than 6 months as opposed to chronic hepatitis B infection, and it can also be found during viral reactivations. So for the hepatitis B E antigen, a product of the nucleocapsid gene of the hepatitis B virus that is found in serum during acute and chronic hepatitis B infection. Its presence indicates that the virus is replicating and the infected person has high levels of HBV. However, patients that are HBeAg negative may also have high levels of HBV. And for the hepatitis B E antibody, spontaneous conversion from a E antigen to E antibody, a change known as E seroconversion, is a predictor of long-term clearance of HBV in patients undergoing antiviral therapy and indicates lower levels of HBV. Spontaneous E seroconversion also occurs in natural infection. And for the hepatitis B surface antibody, the presence of anti-HBs is generally interpreted as indicating recovery and immunity from HBV infection. Anti-HBs also develops in a person who has been successfully vaccinated against hepatitis B. Liver ultrasound is a special ultrasound called transient elastography can show the amount of liver damage. And the last one is the liver biopsy. So your doctor might remove a small sample of your liver for testing or liver biopsy to check for liver damage. During this test, your doctor inserted a thin needle through your skin and into your liver and removes a tissue sample for laboratory analysis.
For the treatment, next slide, please. So for the treatment of acute hepatitis B, there is no medication needed for mild cases. All we need to do is give the patient supportive care, rest, proper nutrition, and encourage the patient to increase oral fluid intake. For severe cases, we can also give medications, namely the entecavir, tenofovir, lamivudine, adefovir, and telbivudine. Also, hospital stays are encouraged for proper monitoring.
For the prognosis, so in most patients, clinical recovery is complete in 3 to 6 months. Laboratory evidence of liver dysfunction may persist for a longer period, but most patients recover completely. The mortality rate for acute hepatitis B is 0.1 to 1%. The risk of acute liver failure is less than 1% with a 60% mortality rate. Patients who develop acute liver failure have an extremely poor prognosis with survival rates of less than 30%. In most cases of acute hepatitis B infection, people recover completely after the short-term infection. However, a small percentage of patients go on to develop chronic hepatitis B.
For the journal, next slide, please. For the journal, this is a case report from Doha, Qatar, published last February 4, 2021 on the Medline database for journal references website, PubMed, entitled Can COVID-19 Cause Flare-Ups of Acute Hepatitis B? And a typical presentation of COVID-19 with acute hepatitis B. This case presented a 25-year-old patient who experienced acute hepatitis B and a typical COVID-19 at the same time and died in the hospital as a result of a very severe and rapid course of illness. The association between COVID-19 and liver injury is defined as any liver damage that occurs during disease progression with or without pre-existing liver disease. Next slide, please. Approximately 14 to 53% of patients hospitalized with COVID-19 have elevated liver enzymes. This report is a case of a fulminant liver failure in a patient with acute hepatitis B infection who was found to have COVID-19 without lung involvement. To date, no acute or acute on chronic liver failure has been documented in COVID-19 patients. And there is no report of death directly related to hepatic decompensation in patients without pre-existing liver disease. The researchers in this journal think that COVID-19 combined with acute hepatitis B may have caused the disease in this case to progress to fulminant hepatitis. Results showed, although it is still largely unclear, HBV0 activated sudden onset strong cytotoxicity lymphocyte response and enhanced viral replication and or retention of the viral capsid in infected hepatocytes may cause the pathogenesis of the FH. These pathophysiological events cause extensive hepatocyte apoptosis and necrosis, which results in deadly severe liver failure. The findings support that the liver damage occurring in COVID-19 is caused by an impaired innate immune system rather than by direct cell damage caused by SARS-CoV-2. Additional monitoring and consideration should be given to the presence of acute hepatitis B, especially in COVID-19 patients. That's all, Doc. Thank you.
Di ba there are questions after the after I think mga 3 questions. I told you to locate where is this in the timeline? Sorry, yeah. Where is the katong acute infectious? Where is it in the time course? Gali, can we go back to the time course? Okay. And one of the questions is, will you allow him to work? 3 questions ba to? Kana siya. So, what is your interpretation again? Acute infectious, active hepatitis, no? So where is it here? Important man na you will know. Does everyone understand this diagram? This time course sa mga viral markers. So that's basic already, ha? So it's basically illustrated. You see antibodies in the left, antigens in the left, and antibodies at the right. Okay. So mara na siya. Then So where is it? Can we point where this this acute infectious asa man i-point down asa tong red pointer. So basically where your HBE, your HBS and your IgM meet, di ba? So asa man IgM anti-IgM anti-HBC IgM. Atong red ba na siya? Kana. So where is it? Okay, so approximately basta saka na diha ang IgM o kana nga area, no? Until the area until where the HBE is down na, okay? So the area over there. So from the part where IgM of anti-HBC rises until the part where IgE until the part where the HBE goes down, okay? So i-point gali asa man nag-start og saka ang the IgM. There, the violet, start of violet. Violet ba na? Oh, violet. Oh, okay. Then the end of HBE. Where's the end of HBE? The green. Where is the end of HBE? Anti-HBS man na. HBE lang. HBE-AG. Where's the end?
Here.
Anti man na siya. Anti-HBE man na. We're looking.
Sorry.
Yeah, the green ba?
Anong green?
So the end of the green and the start of the violet, no? That area. Yeah, the end sa green and the start of violet. Kana nga area, no? So that is the location. This is very important because you'll be able to know where the patient is, no? Okay, that is the normal time course of your acute hepatitis B. Tapos the next question is locate. Yeah, is there a reason for the patient to be alarmed? Yes or no? Yes, no? Personally, I will be alarmed that I have a disease, especially if whether asymptomatic or symptomatic, but I have a disease that can infect other people. So that's why I have to be careful in when I know that I'm infectious. I shouldn't be sharing when I have tattoos. So avoid tattoos, avoid needle pricks, needle insertion because I might transmit that. Avoid sex with my wife, nga na ba? No, I might transmit that. No? Then what's the last one? Would you allow this patient to work or not? What's your answer?
Yes,
Jake?
Doc.
Yes, why?
Since ang limitation sa kanang if positive kag Hep B, Doc, kay di ra ka mo allow ipa-work siya if nagtrabaho siya food chain.
Okay, so if not really on food chain, it's more on healthcare, no? Okay, for food chain, remember the transmission for Hep B is what do you call this? Through body fluids, no? Through sex, through vertical transmission, through blood. Okay, so any work that will deal with that. So first and foremost, the mga healthcare workers, anything that deals with needles, deals with what they call this, mga blood, no? Med techs, nurses, doctors, those are the work that are the jobs that are high risk, no? So, but what's the job of this patient? carpenter, no? So, what, would you allow this patient to work or not? Allow gyapon. Allow gyapon. But reality strikes that in reality, we have this such thing as termed as discrimination ba. So when the employer knows that you are Hep B positive, even without knowing about the pathophysiology of hepatitis B, how it is transmitted, knowing that you're just Hep B positive, then you'll be discriminated from work. You know? That shouldn't be, but the reality is that is what's happening. They want their workers to be perfect, no, which is impossible, really impossible. So ideally, no. Ideally, we allow the worker, the employee to work, the carpenter to work, but in reality, it's the employer who does not allow this kind of patient to be working in the company, and that is illegal. That is illegal because we have this law, Anti-Discriminatory Act. No, a law. It's not act. It's a law, anti-discriminatory law against hepatitis B. No? Okay. Food chain pwede pa manggali because unless when the one who prepares the food gets injured, no, kanang na-prick, no, pwede po na at risk po di ay, no. Pero other than that, saliva dili man, it's not low risk na siya for Hep B. It's the semen, the blood, no, the secretions.
Doc, I have
body.
a question, Doc.
Yes. Kathleen.
Doc, like I was just thinking yesterday, Doc, what if since scanning a stage, Doc, active, then infectious pa man siya, di ba? So what if during pag-work niya, Doc, kay kanang nasama bitaw siya, like since carpenter man siya, then yung workplace kay na may mga blades, and then naay kanang mga nails, then what if ingana, Doc? Then ang police ay kay wala sa nalig gamay nga blood bitaw niya, and then nipuli, let's say, sa blade ingan or sa razor ingan ni gamit, so possible nga makatakod siya.
As long as
dapat gamay lang jud kay nga chance, doctor, gamay lang
well, kanang given
dili
that
direct ang iyang transmission sa virus.
So ingana dili man siya pareho gid sa 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 kining mga sa healthcare workers, no, pero kung ingana dapat first and foremost the carpenter should be provided personal protective gadgets, no, like gloves to protect himself from being Pero if your question is if that is a route of transmission, very least likely kay when the blood is already there, then the blood stains, the nail, it by the time that he's replaced by the next worker, that must have dried up naman, di ba? So kanang least likely nga makatransmit, no? Compared sa healthcare worker, like for example, you're a medtech, then the needle has just been stuck in, then you got pricked by that needle. So pwede pa na siya. Diba? And do you get what I'm saying? But least likely kung carpenter, then nasamad tapos ni-take over, unless kung fresh blood pa gyud, no? If it's really fresh blood, then that will transmit, no? So but before that, you should be able to provide protection to your worker. Okay, Kathleen. So the answer for the last one, the answer for the last one is subjective. Would you allow? If you're a good employer, then you still allow, since the work is less risk, no? It's relatively poses a lesser risk. But if you're an employer who is judgmental, who wants your workers to be perfect, then you will not allow the patient to work, no? Okay, sige. So what else? Sa bagay to? Can we go back to your slides? Like, can you just browse through your slides? There's something that I'd like to correct, man. Can we go back to your screen, your slide?
Nawala ang net sa nag-share screen, Doc.
Nawala ang net. Nagi ko'y question to. I really forgot. Forgot na. Okay. Ngani, for your differential diagnosis, it's okay man. Not only autoimmune hepatitis, least likely na po kayo siya ma-differential. Now, what I'd like you to include in the differential are other acute viral hepatitis, acute hepatitis C, since it has the same route of infection. Okay? Acute hepatitis A, basta any other hepatitis viruses, no? Basta acute. And is the patient symptomatic here? In the history, was it mentioned that the patient was symptomatic?
Mentioned, Doc.
Mentioned ba? Wala. Ano sa mga ito? Kasi yung symptoms niya.
Wala, Doc.
Wala ra, no?
Why
Okay, so
symptoms?
you were just assuming that the patient is asymptomatic. Okay. So, ana ra di ay. Especially when the patient is symptomatic with symptoms, jaundice, no, very common, the jaundice, the body malaise, so include all acute viral. So you'll be able to rule it out by considering the history, considering when did the symptoms start, no? And so ask what was the recent, for example, food intake, or like, for example, was there a history of blood transfusion or sex with a one-night stand, no, or an infected partner, ngana lang. Okay, but for autoimmune, least likely. Okay, so any other questions? Any questions? So is a viral load of 200,000 normal or not?
Not.
No, it's already, diba? Sa atong what's our criteria gali for what they call this, the infectious? It's 200,000 and above, right? 200,000 ba or 20? Kindly check it in the notes, ha. Basta ang mga infectious sa ang count, no? Okay. So you're able to know. So in describing the phase of the hepatitis B, you need not refer to the table anymore, huh? Because for each marker that is positive, there's a meaning behind that. So HBS is positive, that means there's infection. Anti-HBC total, that means it's still if there HBS is positive, AG antigen is positive, that is the same relationship with the total antibody, HBC, that's still positive. But what you'd like to check is the IgM. If IgM of anti-HBC is positive, then that means that's an acute infection. Then HBE, that means that the patient is still replicating these viruses, still infectious. Okay, so that means that the patient is in an active infectious state, no? Acute. You don't need to go back to the table. No? The table is just a reference for discussion, but you can immediately describe already, okay, using the results. Okay, any questions? Okay, sige. So if you're given a problem with IgM that is negative but positive in the total antibody, that means that it is a chronic infectious. Naman itong chronic infectious. No? Okay, so next. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Sige, next group.
So good afternoon, everyone. We will be reporting case 3, the biliary pathology. Good afternoon, Doc. We are from group 5, group 6, and group 7 of section 2E. So case 3, a 28-year-old female prostitute visits the city health department for issuance of a health card. Due to limited resources, only 2 markers were ordered with the following results. HBsAg negative, anti-HBs negative, and the first, for the 3 guide questions, we have number 1, give at least 3 possible scenarios with this result. Mention other tests that can be done to further investigate the case. 2, locate the window period of the hepatitis B serological time course attached. And 3, how would you manage a patient in question number 2? So for guide question number 1, give at least 3 possible scenarios with this result. Mention other tests that can be done to further investigate this case. So for 3 possible scenarios, which is first is no hepatitis B infection. Second is low level of chronic hepatitis B. Third is window period of acute hepatitis B infection. So for other laboratory tests that need to be ordered is first is anti-HBC test, IgM anti-HBC test, IgM anti-HBC test, HBV DNA test for PCR, liver panel, and liver enzymes.
So this is the window period of hepatitis B. So the window period is when antibodies start to appear after the infection. The window period is between the disappearance of HB surface antigen and the peak of both anti-HBC total and anti-HBe. Though usually only the detection of anti-HBC IgM is the one you can witness. Next, please.
In case if the patient is still in window period, the test is still negative, but if there is exposure like needle stick injury or sex with an infected individual, the best management would be hepatitis B prophylaxis administration.
Was that the last slide already?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, let's go back to your slides. After the history, then the answer to the first question. Okay, so 3 possible scenarios. Yeah, you're correct, no? If it's a false positive, no, that means there's no hepatitis B infection. So yeah, that happens, right? If you have no exposure, and of course, when you have no exposure to the, sorry, my cam is off. Okay. Of course, you have no exposure, then you don't build antibody against that antigen. So that means you don't have that infection. No, that is the first. No. Was the patient symptomatic here? Dili man po, no? It's not, no? Wala symptoms. It's assuming that the patient is asymptomatic. So yeah. Then second is the patient might be in or window. So that means that patient was infected, but the levels at the time when the blood was taken, the antigen to the surface, antigen to the surface, antigen surface, the surface antigen and the antibody to that is not detectable. So what you get is the basic is the IgM, no? The antibody to the core antigen, IgM, no? Because when that is positive, then that means that there is acute infection. Okay. Or if when there are also situations when the antibodies are deficient, such as in HIV infection, or there are also cases when there is Hep B infection, but you still don't have the antigen, no, present. So mana siya ang four scenarios. So the main thing that you consider enough, since we are talking about hepatitis panel, is the core window, no, or the window period. So that is very common. So what will you do to this patient? So you can order for that IgM immediately, or if you don't want the patient to spend, let the patient come back another time. No? That is when the patient is asymptomatic. Asymptomatic, no? Ipabalik lang. Pero kung the patient is symptomatic, not feeling well, then better full workup na lang. You mentioned about vaccination. Yeah, that's also good, no? As long as it's proven that the patient has no infection, no? You better vaccinate when the patient is already well. Okay? Sa pagalito. Next slide, please. Next slide. Sa ganda siya. Time course na window period. I think that's it naman, no? Okay, sige. So, next group. Thank you so much. So, any questions about this case? So, window period, atong gi-focus, no? Ana lang. So, better yet, from the start, no? If money is no problem, if money is not an issue, better yet, complete all the markers, no? Okay. Sige. But especially in the Philippines, that we're really trying to be cost effective, cost efficient, then we want a single test, no, to just aid us before stepping up into other tests. Okay, sige, next. Thank you so much, previous group.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Afternoon.
We're going to present case 1. Next slide, please. A 20-year-old factory worker comes in your clinic for routine physical exam and gives you the following hepatitis panel results. So patient has positive HBsAg, negative and anti-HBs. Total anti-HBC is positive. IgM anti-HBC negative, and HBeAg is positive. So to interpret the results, patient has active chronic HBV infection because HBsAg is positive, anti-HBC is positive, IgM anti-HBC is negative, and anti-HBC is negative. Next slide, please. So HBsAg or hepatitis B surface antigen positive indicates the presence of HBsAg indicates the presence of patient is infected with active disease, and hepatitis B surface antigen negative result indicates no immunity against hepatitis B virus within the patient, is not protected against the virus, and his condition is not resolved. For total anti-HBC positive, this indicates a previous or active infection which can persist for life, while IgM anti-HBC negative indicates a chronic infection, since IgM anti-HBC is only present in an acute or recent infection. And for the presence of HBeAg indicates an active or replicating virus, thus the patient has an active infection. Next reporter, Juan Legaspi Doc, will report on the events.
Since Juan Legaspi isn't answering, Doc, I'll just take over. So
no problem.
For your LO number 2, can you please previous slide, please? Previous slide, please. So for LO number 2, locate this event on the hepatitis B serologic time course. So there is a lag phase of 2 to 26 weeks without detectable markers after infection. After the incubation period, it is then detected an increase in HBV DNA and HBsAg exponentially in the serum as a positive result. So the peak of HBV DNA and HBsAg is reached before outbreak of the acute disease, and both decrease after the onset of clinical symptoms. So for this situation, since the result was there is HBeAg is positive, so this means that it is infectious and also acute, since to the there's a diagram that there is a positive in HBeAg it is indicated in your AST/ALT in 1 to 2 months only in your acute. That's all, Doc. Okay, next slide. Thank you.
Okay. Sige, so where is this in the time course? Let's go back to the drawing. Kaya tagam ito mag-drawing, ani? So since this is a chronic infectious, then the illustration that we will use is for the chronic, right? So we will not use the illustration that we used in the previous group. Okay, that is an illustration for acute man to. So anyway, do you have that illustration for the chronic in one of your slides? Para so that you'll understand ba where we are.
There's none, Doc.
Wala mo, okay. Anyway, sige lang. You go back to the notes, ha? Sige lang, learning issue na lang. Let's go back to the notes. We have 4 phases of chronic hepatitis. 4 phases. You have immune tolerance, immune tolerance, immune clearance, then the carrier phase, and the reactivation phase. So since we're talking about HBe, chronic infectious state, HBe positive, then it most likely it will be either in the immune tolerance, and immune clearance. Okay, in the data we were not given about the DNA, right? And the the DNA count and the enzyme, liver enzyme, amount of liver enzyme wala po, no. So that is where it will vary, no. That is where the difference lies between the two, no. You have in the immune tolerance, you have high DNA, then you have what you call this relatively lower liver enzyme, no, lesser inflammation. But in the immune clearance, you have lower DNA but higher liver enzymes. So that means more inflammation. Okay, so that's it. That is where lies the difference, ba? But they are both HBE positive. This is not tempa. Yeah, so sa kini this is a chronic naman eh, no? Chronic because how would you know it is chronic? HBS, look at HBS antigen. It's point A ang HBS. Okay, it persists, no? 2 months, 2 years kana man na siya chronic. So asa man ani nga part ang katong ang HBE positive. So basically from the time where HBE is there until the end, no? Yeah, so basically the whole graph, no, for this illustration. So where the start of so 6 months man na siyang chronic. So most probably at the time where 6 months starts until the end where you still have your HBE, and that is chronic infectious, no? Pero napagitoy another drawing pagid na mas specific for chronic dali atong mga phases. Basta it's either you will be in the phase of immune tolerance and immune clearance, no? So later na lang kanang in your studies na lang when you study ClinPath, then you go back to that, you go to that slide, no? Okay, so any questions? Any questions? Klaro ra so far? Wala rin nalibog. Okay, this is the core of our, not really the core, but one of the most very important part of our topic, no, in hepatitis. Okay, number 3, sorry. Number 3, maalala ko next group. Okay, number 3. Okay. Okay, continue. Number 3.
For number 3, estimate the prognosis of this patient. How would you advise him? For the prognosis and survival of the patient, there is an estimated 5-year rate of progression. For chronic hepatitis, it could turn to cirrhosis at about 10 to 20%. For compensated cirrhosis to hepatic decompensation, 20 to 30%. And for compensated cirrhosis to hepatocellular carcinoma, 5 to 15%. Accordingly to the survival rates are compensated cirrhosis, 85% at 5 years. Decompensated cirrhosis, 55 to 70% at 1 year, and 15 to 35% at 5 years.
Most people.
Sorry. So for most people with chronic hepatitis B should expect to live a long and healthy life. There are effective drug therapies that can control and even stop the hepatitis B virus from further damaging a liver. There are also promising new drugs in the research pipeline that could provide a cure in the very near future. Next, please. Although the risk of developing a serious liver disease or liver cancer is higher for those living with chronic hepatitis B than those who are not infected, there are still many simple things a person can do to help reduce their risks. Next, please. So, to advise a patient, schedule regular visits every 6 months or at least every year with a liver specialist or healthcare provider who is knowledgeable about hepatitis B, so they can monitor the health of your liver through blood tests or diagnostic imaging. Talk to your healthcare provider about whether treatment for your chronic hepatitis B infection will be helpful in preventing serious liver disease or liver cancer. It is important to understand that not everyone is a candidate for treatment, but everyone with chronic hepatitis B virus benefits from regular monitoring. Next, please. So make sure that your healthcare provider screens you for liver cancer during your regular visits, since early detection equals more.
Take over.
For that, make sure that your healthcare provider screens you for liver cancer during regular visits, since early detection equals more treatment options and longer life. And the next one is avoid or limit alcohol and smoking, since both cause a lot of stress to your liver. And eat healthy diet with lots of vegetables, since fried, greasy foods are hard on your liver. Next slide, please. And for reminders for hepatitis B patients, practice safe sex, use condoms, and your partner should know, then should avoid alcohol because it can cause additional liver damage. And for other practices, like avoid sharing needles or personal belongings, some personal belongings. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so the aim of treatment for hepatitis B, is first to lower down the, of course, the DNA levels. Okay. Number two, to check if to prevent cirrhosis, because that's the next stage, right, after hepatitis. Number three is to lower the inflammation. Kana ang three. These are the aims, no? So, for example, when because there will be a time when the liver or the hepatocytes or the viruses will become resistant to treatment. No? For example, you still give entecavir, administer entecavir to a patient who keeps on having a rising DNA level. So that means that the treatment is ineffective. So you have to approach your doctor, consult your doctor, and ask for another medication, because this one is not effective. No, what's the purpose of giving a medication when it's not effective? And these medications are very expensive, right? So any questions? Any questions? So you already know why. So in the exam, in our ClinPath exam, it will be like, I'll give you the result and you interpret it, or I will give you the interpretation. What is the possible? What is the possible result? And so pwede siya vice versa. Or it's chicken. It's easy man, di ba? Dali lang. It's as long as you know the meaning of each marker, di ba, Nero?
Yes, Doc.
Okay, imo name ang imuhang name ang ni-appear sa ako ang phone, naka-phone na di ako. So naka-ilak ko. Okay, so any questions? Wala ra? Sige. So ana lang. And we mentioned it's also correct, no? It's not in all phases, ideally, it's not in all phases that you give treatment. That's why you have to know which phase of chronic hepatitis the patient is in, because it's only ideally in the immune clearance and the reactivation phase where we give treatment because of the inflammation. No? But in practice, as long as the patient is in practice, when the patient has high levels of DNA or HBe positive, or whatever phase the patient is in, then you still give antiviral. No? That is in practice, but in books, we give it particularly in immune clearance phase and in the reactivation phase. Okay, thank you. Next group.
Good afternoon, Doc. Group
Afternoon.
5, 6, and 7 from Section F will present case 2. Next slide, please. For case 2, a 25-year-old male farmer whose mother died of complications of active chronic hepatitis B presents with the following profile. Next slide, please. For the salient features, 25-year-old male have family history of active chronic hepatitis B, mother died of complication, positive in HBsAg, positive in anti-HBC, positive in anti-HBe, negative in anti-HBs, negative anti-IgM, and negative HBeAg.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Doc. So for LO number 1, explain why there can be two possible interpretation with this result. So before we proceed with the interpretation, I will discuss first the serologic result of the patient. So firstly, Hep B surface antigen, which is positive, it indicates there is still infection going on. Then second, anti-Hep B surface antigen, which is negative. If it's positive, it indicates immunity or recovery. So next is the hepatitis B core anti-IgM negative. If it's positive, it indicates acute infection. Next is hepatitis B core total AB or anti-HBC positive. Positive, it indicates patient is under convalescent or recovery period. Hepatitis B antigen or HBeAg negative. If it's positive, it signifies active viral replication or infectious. Yeah, and lastly is the hepatitis B EAB or anti-HBe positive, which indicates low transmissibility or non-infections. Next slide, please. So for the first interpretation, chronic inactive carrier hepatitis B infection. Why? Because the anti-HBe and is positive, and the HBeAg is negative, which indicates that the patient is in inactive carrier state. Then the total core AB or anti-HBC is positive, anti-IgM is negative, which indicates that the patient is under chronic state. So lastly is the HBsAg, which is positive, and the anti-HBs is negative, which indicates that the patient still has the disease. So for the second interpretation, next slide, please. Chronic hepatitis B infection or reactivation phase. So since the total core AB or anti-HBC is positive and anti-IgM is negative, which indicates the patient is under chronic state, then the HBsAg is positive, anti-HBs is negative, which indicates that the patient still has the disease. And lastly is the anti-HBe positive, HBeAg negative, which indicates that the patient is under reactivation phase. So in conclusion, this patient results suggest a chronic inactive hepatitis B infection, also known as a carrier state. A viral PCR for HBV DNA should be done in all chronic infection to evaluate for viral replication, and also a liver biopsy should be considered in chronic hepatitis with a positive HBV DNA. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Good afternoon, Doc. I'm going to discuss the LO number 2. So the question is, locate these events in the hepatitis early time course attached. In the serum result, the patient belongs to the phase of reactivation since there's an increase. There's a positive result of anti-HBe and negative in HB antigen. That's all. Thank you, Doc.
Where is it? Where is this diba, we mentioned about two interpretations, no? The more common one is the carrier state, because the patient here is symptomatic or asymptomatic. Oh, what was not mentioned? No, it was not mentioned.
Not mentioned though.
Not mentioned, but yeah, the more common scenario, more likely scenario is the patient here is a carrier siya. So the other one is the reactivation, since in both, what's common between the two, the inactive carrier and reactivation, you both have a positive for your anti-HBE. So positive for anti-HBE, negative for the antigen, HBE antigen. Both still positive for HBS. So wala siya. So in the left diagram, the one on the left, asa man siya ana diha. So it's more likely on the part where he start to have a kini siya sa lower right, no, sa left diagram, the lower right, that one,
yes, the
where
months
you
to
already
years
have your antibody, months to years, mana siya, no. Pero what's nice about this Hep B profile is that when you have antibodies already, it means that you don't have the antigen corresponding to that, no, to the antibody. It's not like the antibody towards Hep C, where the presence of the antibody does not tell us that the patient is immune. But for Hep B, for example, the patient is already has anti-HBs, so that means that the patient already is negative for HB-Sag, no, for your antigen. Okay, so di man gid siya ma-overlap, no, in theory ba, I think it's also true in practice, no. Pero in tanaw nato sa profile, the antibodies and the antigen do not overlap, no.
Okay.
Any questions about the case? So you're correct, no? So it's either inactive carrier and reactivation. Is there one last question na lang? If the patient is a carrier, does that mean that the patient should remain complacent because he is asymptomatic and not HBE positive, and the DNA is stable? Or does that give us an assurance that the patient should not anymore monitor his hepatitis B status?
Monitor gyapon dok.
Monitor gyapon.
Reactivate man gyapon ang siya.
Yes. Especially when the patient is a number one, has other vices, no, mga alcohol, no, other injuries to the liver, and when the patient has already a history of more often than not, no, especially among Asians, when the patient is already there is a family history of hepatitis B, then you have also a family history of hepatitis cancer, hepatocellular carcinoma. You know already, there's this one baker chef in Cagayan de Oro, who is the whole family has hepatitis B, and the whole family, all his brothers, even him, including him, died of hepatocellular carcinoma. Si Chef Haset Go, bakit sa meta Cagayan diri? If you know Chef Haset Go, he used to be a popular chef, no, in TV, no? I think we are familiar with him sa TV. He already appeared in TV, pero he suddenly disappeared, no, because he died of hepatocellular carcinoma. Kaya he got this hepatitis B vertically, no, from his mother, their mother. No? The mother is a carrier, pero sila hepatitis B. Okay, so any questions, class? So it's these four cases, no, I chose them purpose, on purpose, because these are controversial cases. Okay, so where you have dilemma, libog ka, how would you manage this one? No? Okay, any questions? Klaro ra class? Okay, okay, so by reminders, I already posted also pointers for this Wednesday exam, 7 to 8, Gen Path, no? Again, high yield questions, no? And this will be cases, there will be long cases, and no, there will be 35 long cases and some 25 questions that are pretty much recall lang, but read them carefully, ha. And what else? And for ClinPath, I will still post some pointers and correct diagnosis for our BGD cases. I think on Friday na lang kay para section AC by that time will be done already. Okay, any questions? Claro ra class. The important for this topic is you're able to appreciate the use of these hepatitis markers. Ako for one, I even as a I'm not a specialist na I mean specialist in hepatology, pero as a general practitioner, I'm able to interpret hepatitis panel results. So you don't have to give it to a gastro for them to interpret it. Kaya kaya na nimo as a because you already know about these markers, the meaning of these markers. Okay, and even the treatment. And okay.
Excuse me,
okay,
Doc.
any question? Yes, unsa man?
Doc, na pa may LO3
Kathleen? Napadi ay. Sorry. I thought you're done.
Wait, Doc, ha?
Asa man yeah, that's all naman itong ganiha. Okay. Sige. Number 4. Sige. Continue.
Cite an instance when HBeAg does not serve as a surrogate marker for HBV DNA.
Yeah.
In chronic hepatitis, it occurs as a result of the selection of HBV mutants that are unable to secrete the precore protein, which is HBeAg. And in patients in the HBeAg negative chronic hepatitis B, carry natural mutants of the virus which impact HBeAg production by either reducing levels or abrogating completely the precore variant production. And these variants are selected at the time of or soon after seroconversion and become dominant during the reactivation phase. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
For differential diagnosis, family history of active chronic hepatitis B, acute hepatitis B infection negative, and for chronic hepatitis B infection, it's positive. HBsAg, for acute hepatitis B infection, it's positive. For chronic hepatitis B infection, it's also positive. For anti-HBC, acute hepatitis B infection is positive. Chronic hepatitis B infection is also positive. In anti-HBe, acute hepatitis B infection is negative, whereas in chronic hepatitis B infection, it's positive. Next slide, please. Our final diagnosis is chronic hepatitis B infection. Next slide, please.
Please indicate, let's go back to your previous one, sa differential diagnosis. Okay, please indicate, specify good now if the anti-HBe is positive, then what phase in chronic hepatitis B? Because you have to indicate because if you're going to say chronic hepatitis B infection, that the not all phases in chronic hepatitis B infection, you will have this anti-HBe positive, diba? Okay, the first two, the immune clearance and immune tolerance, you don't have these anti-HBe yet, right? So please specify, no? So which phase in chronic hepatitis B infection? Okay, next.
So for the pathophysiology, so during the first stage of infection, the HBV virion attaches to the liver cells or the hepatocytes. Then it penetrates the hepatocyte cytoplasm. Then the HBV virion is uncoated, which means that the nucleocapsids can move into the hepatocyte's nucleus and convert the DNA to covalently closed circular DNA or cccDNA, a double-stranded DNA structure. The covalently closed circular DNA is very stable and can stay in the host nucleus for months in chronic disease. The virus makes copies of itself in the process that lacks proofreading ability, which allows the virus to mutate. The newly formed HBV virions are released into the bloodstream, from where they invade the hepatocytes and repeat the replication process. It is thought that the HBV causes inflammation and progressive fibrosis in the infected liver by triggering the immune system to attack the hepatocytes. Next slide, please. So basically, to sum it all up, once the virus enters the body through the skin and the mucosa, by bodily fluids, they have the special affinity to liver cells or the hepatocytes. So they go into the liver and the virus enters the hepatocytes and starts to multiply there. Then during the multiplication, they change the antigen structure of the hepatocytes into HBCAG, HBsAg, HBAG, and HLA1. The body considers then the hepatocytes as foreign and starts to destroy these hepatocytes by a mechanism called self-mediated immune damage. So in the case of Hepa B, it is more dangerous because the virus may remain dormant in the hepatocytes and may reactivate again after months or years and infect new hepatocytes. So this will lead to liver cell damage, fibrosis, and distortion of the liver architecture, and therefore causing deterioration of the liver function.
Good noon, Doc. These are the laboratory tests to be done. First is complete blood count with screen diagnosis or monitor, especially the WBC, which are low in hepatitis B. Comprehensive metabolic panel provides information on blood sugar level, balance of electrolyte and fluids, as well as the health of kidney and liver. The liver test, which monitor the progress of the disease, are alkaline phosphatase, alanine aminotransferase, aspartate aminotransferase, bilirubin, albumin, total protein, prothrombin time, gamma glutamyl transpeptidase, lactate dehydrogenase, and alpha fetoprotein. Hepatitis B panel is the initial testing is hepatitis B surface antigen, hepatitis B surface antibody, total anti-hepatitis B core, and the anti-hepatitis B core. This is with the follow-up of testing with hepatitis BE antigen, anti-hepatitis BE antibody, hepatitis B viral DNA, hepatitis B virus resistant mutation, liver biopsy and non-invasive imaging testing like ultrasound and specialized x-rays, which assess the disease severity, cirrhosis, in which low albumin, prolonged PT, low WBC, AST is more than LT, including LP and GGT. And in last, in hepatocellular carcinoma, alpha fetoprotein test should be done. Thank you.
Sounds like the
Hello,
reporter.
sorry doc,
Okay.
sorry doc.
Okay.
Nakita ko sa headset, sorry.
Yeah.
For the treatment and management, most people diagnosed with chronic hepatitis B infection needed treatment for the rest of their lives. So the treatment helps reduce the risk of liver disease and prevent from passing in the infection to others. Then treatment for chronic hepatitis B may include first the antiviral medication like entecavir, tenofovir, lamivudine, adefovir, and telbivudine. They can help fight the virus and slow its ability to damage your liver. Then for the number 2 is interferon injections like interferon alpha 2B or your intron A, a man-made version of a substance produced by the body to fight the infection. Is used mainly for young people with hepatitis B who wish to avoid long-term treatment for women who might want to get pregnant within a few years. Then a third is a liver transplant. So if the liver has been severely damaged, a liver transplant may be an option.
The prognosis, most adults with hepatitis B recovered fully. Even if their signs and symptoms are severe, infants and children are more likely to develop a chronic, long-lasting hepatitis B infection. It can stay in the liver for a long time, possibly even a lifetime. Although those with chronic hepatitis B infection live with an increased risk of developing liver disease later in life, many should expect to live long and healthy lives. A vaccine can prevent hepatitis B, but there's no cure if you have the condition. If you're infected, taking certain precautions can help prevent spreading the virus to others.
Okay, for the journal, a systematic review of the current hepatitis B viral infection and hepatocellular carcinoma situation in Mediterranean countries published on June 11, 2020. Next slide, please. So viral hepatitis B is a global public health problem affecting nearly 2 billion subjects, 3.3% of whom are from the World Health Organization and Eastern Mediterranean region. It induces both acute and chronic hepatic disorders with subsequent liver cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma in a considerable percentage of patients based on the age of exposure. In this review, hepatitis B virus and hepatocellular carcinoma prevalence, distribution, and prevalence of different genotypes and male or female infection frequencies in relation to the vaccination status in Mediterranean countries were reported, which this review describes the prevalence of hepatitis B infection, genotype distribution of hepatitis B virus, and incidence of hepatocellular carcinoma in 3 different continents: Southern Europe, North Africa, and Near East region. Next. In the Mediterranean area, the prevalence of HBsAg is still low to intermediate, and the hepatitis B virus genotype that dominates is genotype D. In addition, most studies confirm that men are more affected by HBV than women. Concerning hepatocellular carcinoma, it is also more frequent in men than women, and it develops in most cases in a context of chronic liver disease, and most often on cirrhosis. Finally, according to some countries' result, children must be admitted to the national HBV vaccination schedule so that hepatitis infections and their complications could be early prevented.
So the next journal is Management of Chronic Hepatitis B Infection, Current Treatment Guidelines, Challenges and New Developments. It was published in the World Journal of Gastroenterology in September 2019. Next slide, please. Abstract: chronic hepatitis B virus infection is a globally public health problem affecting more than 400 million people worldwide. The clinical spectrum is wide, ranging from a subclinical inactive carrier state to progressive chronic hepatitis, cirrhosis, decompensation, and hepatocellular carcinoma. However, complications of hepatitis B virus-related chronic liver disease may be reduced by viral suppression. Current international guidelines recommend first-line treatment of chronic hepatitis B infection with pegylated interferon, entecavir, and tenofovir, but the optimal treatment for an individual patient is controversial. The indications for treatment are contentious, and increasing evidence suggests that HBV genotyping as well as serial on-treatment measurements of hepatitis B surface antigen and HBV DNA kinetics should be used to predict antiviral treatment response. The likelihood of achieving a sustained virological response is also increased by extending treatment duration and using combination therapy. Hence, the paradigm for treatment of CHB is constantly evolving. This article summarizes the different indications for treatment and systematically reviews the evidence for the efficacy of various antiviral agents. It further discusses the shortcomings of current guidelines, use of rescue therapy in drug-resistant strains of HBV, and highlights the promising clinical trials for emerging therapies in the pipeline. This concise overview presents an updated practical approach to guide the clinical management of CHB. Next slide, please. So the conclusion drawn from this journal was patients with minimal disease should not be treated. Conversely, patients at risk of developing complications such as cirrhosis and HCC should receive antiviral therapy. In patients with predictive factors of favorable response, a finite course of PEG interferon should be trialed as first-line treatment. However, the majority of patients still require lifelong treatment with nucleoside analogs, which is associated with substantial costs and a high risk for developing antiviral resistance. In our opinion, further studies are required to identify mechanisms by which the low viral load in the persistent carrier state may be eliminated. New strategies will likely favor an immunomodulatory approach and or involve eradication of the pool of CCC DNA from infected hepatocytes. Thank you, Dom. That's it.
Yeah, you're right in saying that the treatment for hepatitis B is a lifetime. It's especially that it's we are in the chronic, no? We're talking about the chronic state. So when you're already in the chronic state, the treatment, the antiviral medications that you give will be for life, no? That the patient takes will be for life. And what else? So any questions about the journal, the other parts? Okay, I thought I was about to end the session, but yeah, I was reminded that you still have the subsequent slides. No? So any questions about this case? So very good, no? The last group you really exhausted what is expected of you, no? That they included the journal, etc. Okay, but the minimal requirement is I would really require you to answer the questions. So far, all the groups were able to answer the questions, no, correctly. Okay, so no questions? No questions? Okay, klaro ra, Golda, klaro ra ang atong discussion. Okay, that's good. Despite the unstable connection. Okay. Sige, class. So thank you so much. And this proceeding is recorded, and I will post this on my channel and place a link in the Google Classroom. So if you have no other questions, for the output, no, kindly give it to your presidents, no. So I just expect the four, no. So which one? So for example, for Golda, so what group ba mo? What group? Two groups, no. You handle two groups, and the other president also has two groups. So kana lang. I only for ClinPath, I only expect 4 outputs for this, for this activity. Okay? Para dili mo mahago. You'll not be exhausted, no? Because you still have the GenPath exam on Wednesday, and you also have worksheets, huh? The questions that I gave you, I was reminded that you still have to submit those. the answers to those questions. You can help each other in answering, but do not copy word for word. Okay, so thank you so much. And if no questions, thank you so much and have a great afternoon. Okay,
you, Doc.
enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Doc.
Okay.
Thank you, Doc. Bye-bye.